Hello, I'm Mrs. Campbell, and this is my classroom. Let me show you around for a bit so you can see how to navigate this class. You're here on the home page, and every time you open Canvas and click on this class, you will see this page. If there are any announcements that I need to get out to you, they will usually be on this page. So make sure that you check around. You also want to make sure to check on the weekly pacing guide. If I were teaching this class in a regular classroom, these would be the lessons that I would go through in a class period. So you want to figure that you're giving yourself about an hour to complete the tasks. Sometimes it takes a little longer, sometimes it takes less, but it's usually this is the average would be about an hour. I also have some links on this page that'll be very helpful to you. The first one is, of course, my contact information. So you can see where my phone number is. My email is down here. Of course, the easiest way to get through to me is through the inbox messages. But these are the hours that I will be in the office, and Wednesdays are a little bit different. The only exception to this is on the first and third Mondays of the month. I go out to the Kern Learn East location because I do have some seniors out there, and so I want to make sure I'm available for them as well. So anytime you need to get in touch with me, this is where you would find the information. I also have a link to the course syllabus, and you will definitely want to take some time to read carefully through this. It does explain the class, the materials that we'll be reading this semester, and then also the late work policy, the mandatory writing labs, and the grades, and the academic integrity. So all of these policies you want to make yourself familiar with, and just take a few minutes to go through that page when you get the opportunity to. Another link on this is to the class resources. And so in addition to what you've just seen, there's a little bit more information about the mandatory lab dates. Actually, I can't get to that from this screen. The grading information, this tells you how the standards are measured and how the grades break down. So one of the other things that I'll do is that in the rubrics, you're going to see the number so you can see what percentage that particular assignment is worth. We also have another copy of the academic integrity policy. It's especially important in English that you know what is and is not plagiarism, so be sure that you download that and have access to it. There's also a link to accessibility, and what this does is if you have particular needs using the technology, both Canvas and Google have accessibility statements, and they provide you with apps that will help with certain things such as screen readers, which ones work best with that. Likewise, Google will give you some information on how you can make your screen more adapted to you and your needs. So if there's any special needs that you have, make sure to check those out. Also, you may find at some point during the second semester that your password no longer works and you're told that you can't get into Canvas. This happens because the Kern High School District requires that you change your password every 6 months. Unfortunately, if you're using a Chromebook off campus, you don't get the notification that you need to change it. So whenever there's a need that comes up, if you forget your password or you forget your sign in to Google, this is where you can find the information on how you go about resetting those passwords. Down below here, these buttons are all given throughout the lessons, and so these are specific tasks that you will need to perform in the class, but this is where they're all kept all together. So for example, we're going to have a lot of peer reviews. This is a really tricky one for students, and so you definitely want to take a look at the video there. It shows you how to find your peer review and what it is that you're supposed to do. On the side links here, there are these are the ones that you will have available to you. Of course, the home button takes you back to where we started from. And then the modules, we'll talk about that in a moment, the syllabus, your grades, the discussions you want to keep track of, because sometimes students will respond to you. They may even ask you questions. So you want to keep checking the discussions to see what students have added to those discussion boards. I have another link to that course resource so that you have access to it very quickly. We've also put in the Google Drive. It's not going to show up because I'm in student view at this point, but you're going to see all of your files here. I also have a Google Hangout, and what this shows is it's for our Socratic seminars. If in the mandatory labs, if you're not able to make it to the site, you can join us through a Google Hangout. And all you have to do is click on that link, and there I am. You can turn off the camera, and then we just have this open link. And the best thing about it, once you've joined it, is that we have the ability to share screens. So I can actually share my screen with you, and you can see as I'm going through an instruction that you would be able to see what I'm seeing. You have the capability of doing that with your screen as well. Okay. So I had talked earlier about the Modules tab, and that is where you always want to go to. In this case, you will see that some of these are bolded, the rest of them are not. The way it's set up is that you have to perform all of these tasks in order for the next one to open up. So for example, what you'll be doing is you'll go to the very first module, go to 1.1.1, and in this case, all you have to do is read through the information. Each module will begin with a description of what's going to be covered and the learning objectives that you have for that module. So after you read through it, you only need to go to the next button. And in this case, there is another instruction. This one happens to have a video attached to it. And you read through that. You do as the video instructs you to do, and then you move into the next. In this particular one, there is a discussion board. And the way I have the discussion boards programmed is that you have to actually put in your reply before you can see what others have posted. Make sure that you look at the class resources and the discussion board protocols, because this is how we get to the speaking and listening. So you will see this button. Let me go ahead and get out of student view so that you can actually see what that looks like. So make sure that you read through everything that's required of you, and there is a rubric at the bottom. So this kind of gives you some information about how you're supposed to respond in those discussion boards. Okay. If you go back to the Modules tab, and let me go ahead and put this back into student view so that you can see how this works. When you go back to the Modules tab, you will now see a green check mark for the activities that you have completed. This one is now open, but there's nothing over here. It's also possible that if you get interrupted, maybe your Wi-Fi drops out. But if you have started an assignment, then you'll see something that looks like this, a little minus sign. But this keeps track of where you are in the modules. Now, when the next module gets ready to unlock, it unlocks at a particular date. You can mouse over it and you'll see that this one is locked until August 31st. August 31st, then you'll see the first one here. It is possible for you to work on both modules at the same time. However, we want to make sure that you're keeping up with the pacing guide. So let's return to the home page, and you will see a link here for pacing guide. Now, the weekly pacing guide, the one up here, is just for that particular week. What I do is I don't count the weekends, but I allow students to have the weekends to work if they want it. So on Monday, August 27th, I'm going to go through and grade everything that's come in through the weekend, and then I will zero out the assignments that have not been submitted. You can still submit those assignments, and you can still get up to full credit on most of them. There are some assignments that are considered late, and you'll want to go back to the course syllabus to see which types those are. But if you know you're going to be gone for a couple of weeks or so, this pacing guide actually leads you to a calendar And in this calendar, you can actually list the dates by calendar month, and it comes in both the grid and the list formats. So you can actually see what it is that you're doing on any given day for any day in the semester. You just need to change the months. You can print these out and actually cross these off. So you should always be able to know when the writing labs are, when the holidays are, etc. So that's a lot in one little video. But what you're going to do next is you're going to return to the home page, and then you want to start with modules, and then start at the top with Hip Hop Goes Global 1.1.1. If you have any questions, make sure that you contact me either through the inbox. Remember that I'm also in the class resources where it says teacher information. Actually, that's on the home page. Sorry about that. So there's my contact information. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me. I look forward to working with you. Bye-bye.